In this video, I want to go over security options and also talk about other non-expensive alternatives that we can use to get the same result without spending the same amount. So let's get started. Through the evolution of technology, we now have thousands of security options at our fingertips that can be delivered right to our door. But these security options often come with a hefty price tag and a monthly subscription for maintenance, even though most of them won't even work when shit hits the fan. Now, there are 4 primary factors that can help you determine which security option is best for you. One of those factors being the price you are willing or are able to pay. The next factor is your location. Whether you live in a rural, urban, or suburban area will play a big factor into what type of security options may be best for you. The third factor is the amount of people in your family or in the group that you're bugging out with. So if you are a lone wolf and don't have any family or anyone, it will be harder to secure your perimeter. So therefore, we may have to select other options based on the amount of people that we have to secure the area in which we plan to bug out or shelter in place. And the fourth factor is the level of experience. How physically capable are you to defend yourself? Do you know any self-defense, or do you have any firearms training? We need to be mindfully aware of the amount of people, but also the amount of people who are physically capable of providing that security. Perhaps you have a family of 7, but 3 of those family members are children or teenagers who may not be able to handle security as well as an adult can. The best battle is the one that we don't have to fight. So deferring anyone from coming onto your property can help you avoid a conflict altogether. So things like purchasing and placing signs outside of your property, or with the pandemic happening, a quarantine and a biohazard sign is actually also very believable. Our biological need for self-preservation would automatically make us second guess ourselves about going down where we can clearly see could potentially be dangerous for us. Now, you can purchase these signs online, or their less expensive alternative would be to repurpose current signs that you already have with new paint and a new vinyl messaging. Vinyl is very inexpensive, so you can customize your messages to whatever it is that you want them to portray. Now, if you don't have any signs, then you can literally just makeshift a sign, regardless of how pretty it is or how professional it is. Don't write off making our own signs. Now, of course, signs aren't going to work on everyone, and there's still going to be those people that are going to push the limits and are going to push on those boundaries. So we also have to be mindful of what messages we're putting up, because regardless of what sign you put up, you better be able to back it up. There are so many home security systems with live people at the end of them that will help you get assistance if someone were to break into your home. However, during SHTF, there will most likely not be anyone on the end of that connection. And if there's no rule of law, then no help is coming. So that fancy security system with that monthly or yearly subscription you paid for is basically gonna be useless. And not just do these fancy security options with night vision and all of these fancy gadgets require electricity, so we better have a way of recharging them or powering them and providing a power supply. But a lot of them also require Wi-Fi. And Wi-Fi won't always be available when shit hits the fan. But as women, we know that there is another alternative to keeping a visual eye on something valuable, and that is a baby monitor. Yes, that's right. A baby monitor can not just provide you with a video visual, but most of them also provide you with audio. And a lot of them do not require a lot of power to use or recharge, so you can still get the same function. So even if power and signal is down, you can still use the baby monitors effectively. And even though the next alternative does not give you a visual, it does give you the ability to secure with audio, and that is a walkie-talkie or a two-way radio. Walkie-talkies and two-way radios are not very hard to recharge, or you can find the ones you power with batteries. I personally prefer the Motorola T465 radios because not just can you use batteries to power them, but you can also recharge them via USB. Another inexpensive way to secure a driveway or an entrance is to purchase a personal alarm. Now, these are very small, very tiny, but very efficient. When they're triggered, they make this very loud noise that immediately attracts anyone that's around you. It's for personal protection, but the way that it functions is it just comes apart. So if you were to attach it in some way with just some fishing line, you can put it in the driveway or in the entrances in your more vulnerable spots. And even though it also alerts them they've triggered an alarm, it still gives you some time in order to figure out whether you're going to get to your posts and fight back, or if you're going to retreat and seek safety until the situation resolves. Now you can go all out and spend some serious coin on an electric fence and a solar system to power that electric fence when you need it the most. A less expensive option is to just get an open fence, or you can repurpose old wood and pallets and use them to create a small fence. Now, keeping an open fence can be beneficial because you can actually see through the fence. No matter which fence you choose, electrical or non, having visibility is very important. So I would opt out for having a gate where you could see what people are doing on the other side. When you have a fence that's blocking your view, you can't really see where your attackers are necessarily. Having open gates like this is perfect for areas that are rural and you have a lot of open spaces. If I lived in a rural area, I would actually opt out for doing a more natural barrier and a more natural fencing. Thorn vine plants have been used through the beginning of time as natural fencing. Thorn vines actually provide a lot of security. Roses or Osage orange, which was used as a natural barrier and as a natural fencing all throughout history. Another natural fencing that you could use is cactus because of its prickiness, and people would never want to walk through cactus if they didn't have to. Cactus is multifunctional because it provides you with food. So these natural ways of providing barriers to your property are great. All of our properties have vulnerable spots such as windows and doorways. To secure our windows, we can dish out the cash to install actual security bars. Having them professionally installed or installing them ourselves, we still have to dish out the money for the actual product in order to install it. Now, they also market these window films that you can put on windows that claim to be very strong and durable. They are supposed to make your windows shatterproof. I would rather personally invest my money into something that I knew was going to provide more of a physical barrier instead of a shattering, barrier. So I don't really care if the window gets broken as long as someone can't get in. A less expensive alternative for security bars would be plywood and pallets. Now, I know that plywood, of course, can be set on fire and, of course, can be taken down by people who really want to get into your home. But you can also take the time now to pre-cut the plywood that you have and pre-cut the 2x4s that you may want to use in order to, board up your windows and just have them ready. In an SHTF situation, having these pieces ready and knowing where they're going to go can help you save some valuable time in order to keep yourself safe and also execute your security plan. Along with security bars, you can also have metal doors installed or purchase metal doors to install yourself. Now, this is going to provide a great barrier, but there are, of course, other alternatives to keeping your door more secure, like the night lock. I actually have opted out to not purchase the night lock, even though it looks very efficient. What I personally opted out to buy are some brackets that are placed on each side of the door and help secure the door with a 2x4. I purchased this on Amazon. It is so easy to install. All you need is these brackets. The brackets were less than $10, but all of these methods used together can actually provide some great security options for you at very little cost. Now, of course, possessing a firearm and knowing how to use it is very beneficial during SHTF. Now, if you're one of those people that are not comfortable with guns, or you just want to opt out for a less expensive option with almost the same capability of a firearm, you can opt out for a recurve bow, a compound bow, or any type of crossbow. You have multiple options when it comes to archery as well. So if you're looking for a alternative that can be used for a longer term scenario with almost the same effect as a firearm, you may want to look into getting a crossbow or a compound bow. I personally selected the Diamond SB1 compound bow. And even though the SB1 from Diamond is just as expensive as a firearm, I feel it's a superior option because the arrows are reusable. So not just are you spending the same amount of money, but you won't really run out of ammo. As long as you can make arrows or reuse your arrows as much as possible, you can easily reuse your arrows far longer than you can if you were to use a firearm and run out of ammunition. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into mentioning that of course you can buy tasers and of course you can buy pepper spray. Those are just so obvious that I thought that we would discuss making our own pepper spray as a more cost-effective option. Now, you can pick whichever pepper you want, but you can always make your own pepper spray from your own chili peppers by boiling down the chili peppers and adding a little bit of oil and letting it ferment. And it doesn't have to be very expensive. You can use a garden sprayer to use as a deploy device for a homemade pepper spray. Another option that is more cost effective is to buy sandbags. Sandbags can get a little expensive, but if you have the money and you have the means, they are a less expensive way of securing your home. You can literally just place them in the areas or the walls that you want to barricade or where you want to provide the most protection from firepower and a little bit of safety. So if you don't want to spend the money on sandbags either, what you can do is just actually buy the bags. I found them on Amazon and you can just purchase the sacks themselves. And guess where there is plenty of free sand? Duh, the beach. So you can easily just buy these bags and go to the beach and fill a couple up at a time. Now, I don't know what the rules and laws in your states are about going to the beach and taking beach sand, but you can always just do it one at a time or do it at a time when there is not a lot of traffic at the beach. But also be mindful of what time it is because you don't want to look like you're out there just doing something with malicious intent. But before you go off and invest in any of these security suggestions, I would actually encourage you to invest any resource that you have and that you invest your money into professional physical training and self-defense. Because no matter how many security options you have, the only person that you can truly rely on taking care of yourself is you. And knowing how to defend yourself is going to be your most vital resource during SHTF. Because even in these times when the shit hasn't truly fully hit the fan, we have things that we as women have to worry about: being assaulted and abused, and raped. And all of these things are things that are only going to be amplified by the coming of SHTF. And when there's no rule of law, no one is coming to save us but ourselves. And I understand that a lot of us are working with limited budgets. So if you can't afford it, I would suggest that you go online and find low cost or even free self-defense classes at different community centers and also women's shelters, because they often help victims of domestic violence. So these women's shelters and community centers can actually be a vital resource to help getting us self-defense training that we need, low or free of cost. And this video is all about advocating the low cost and effective methods for security. But I also feature some items in this video that you can purchase online on sites like Amazon. I'm going to be providing links for some of those products down in the description. And it's not going to cost you any extra than it would normally, but it will help the channel create more content and videos like this. So if you enjoyed this video and found it useful, make sure that you like and also subscribe to my channel and stay tuned and up to date on all of the newest content and everything to do with preparedness and SHTF from a female perspective.